Hello, today we're reading Magnificent Mabel and the Christmas Elf. At Christmas time, I can't help being a sweetie heart. I'm so kind and pleasant. I love fairy lights. I love doing carols by candlelight as long as people don't stare at me. I especially love decorating the tree. Every year, Mum gets out our box of decorations down from the attic. That box is really dusty on the outside, but inside the Christmas decorations are shiny and new. My favourite decoration is a naughty elf that is green and red. That naughty elf lights up when you press a button on its tummy. Sometimes the naughty elf winks at me when no one else is looking. Sometimes that naughty elf speaks to me in a teeny tiny voice. Whenever I press the naughty elf's tummy, I can't help getting in the Christmas spirit. My teacher, Mr. Messenger, loves it getting in the Christmas spirit too. He wears a red and white jumper with snowflakes on it, and at Christmas time he isn't even strict. Last Monday, instead of teaching us maths and reading, he let us make paper chains all day long. Mr. Messenger said, class, what do you mean paper chains? I think this is quite a good point of Mr. Messenger's, but some people in my class, e.g. Edward Silito, don't like making paper chains. Last Monday, Edward Silito told Mr. Messenger that decorating class 1 was not as important as learning our times table. Mr. Messenger told Edward Silito to get in the Christmas spirit, but Edward Silito did not get in the Christmas spirit. Edward Silito got on with his maths. I don't know why Edward Silito finds it so tricky to get in the Christmas spirit. Getting in the Christmas spirit is easy. I looked at Edward Silito doing his maths, and I smiled kindly. Edward Silito, I said, do you need help making paper chains? But Edward Silito said no, in a grumpy voice, and then Edward Silito scowled. I did not scowl back. I did not even poke Edward Silito a teeny bit hard in the tummy. I cut out a snowflake for Edward Silito and I gave him a kind smile. I was as good as gold. This is what happens to me when I'm in the Christmas spirit. But this year on Christmas Eve, two things broke my Christmas spirit. And those things were my sister Meg and the naughty Christmas elf. I was in the kitchen making snowflakes. I had to use the old newspaper for my snowflakes instead of fresh paper because some people in my family are mad about recycling. But I didn't mind. I thought at Christmas it is good to care about our planet. Isn't it always good to care about our planet? I felt so happy. Even when Dad accidentally pushed past me and knocked my snowflake on the floor, I didn't get cross with him. I smiled politely and said, please may you be careful of my snowflakes, if that is okay with you. When Dad laughed and said, what's got into Mabel? I did not get cross. I stayed calm in the crisis. Dad, I said, I'm in the Christmas spirit. That is my point. At that moment, Meg came skipping into the kitchen. She was carrying a heavy bag. Meg put that heavy bag down on the table. Look carefully at that bag of Meg's. I said, what's in that bag? Meg put her finger to her lips. She said she needed to wrap up the presents she was giving to me and Mum and Dad. I watched Meg get the scissors and sellotape and then I followed Meg upstairs. But Meg would not let me follow her into her bedroom. Mabel, she said all chirpity, not allowed to see what I'm giving you. You'll have to until tomorrow. So I went downstairs to find Mum. I told Mum that it was time for me to wrap my presents. Where are they anyway? I said. Mum sighed and looked at me for a long time. Mabel, she said, I took you Christmas shopping with Meg last week, but you didn't want to spend your pocket money on presents. You spent it on that stethoscope for yourself instead. Mum gave me her firm look. Remember? I gave Mum a firm look back. I thought someone should remind that mother of mine that when it comes to shopping, I am not very sensible. I thought, I don't even like that stethoscope. At that moment, Meg came downstairs and put her presents under the tree. There was one for Mum, one for Dad, and one for me. I can't wait until tomorrow, said Meg. I thought, that sister of mine's so boasty. That night, we left mince pies and beer out for Father's Christmas. Beer? Why beer? And we also left them chocolate biscuits because not everyone likes mince pies. After that, Dad read us some Christmas stories and we all went to bed. Except I did not go to sleep because it was Christmas the next day. I did not have any presents to give to anyone. That's when I had a good idea. Remembered about my family being keen on recycling. I thought, what if I recycle my old stuff and give it to them? I thought about giving Meg my doll called Annabelle, But then I remembered that Annabelle might miss me too much, so I put Annabelle back in my bed and found Polly instead. Polly has a bald patch in the middle of her hair and a twisty leg. I thought, Meg will love Polly. Really? I found a book of word searches for that and practically knew because I never do word searches if I can help it. Found an old bracelet that's a bit too pink for me. Thought that's perfect for Mum because she loves jewelry and also doesn't mind pink. I laid all 3 presents on the bed. I could not wait to put them under the tree. I felt so kind and generous. Would she really like Polly if she has a bald patch and a twisty leg? Shouldn't you try to fix her? I waited until everyone was definitely asleep. Waited a bit longer because even though I know Father Christmas is a kind and pleasant man, I did not fancy bumping into him in the middle of the night. Time later, when my lighting up clock said it was midnight, I crept downstairs and tiptoed across the hall into the sitting room. The tree was all twinkly. I could tell Father Christmas had been because he'd eaten the mince pie and the chocolate biscuits. There were hundreds of presents under the tree. I thought, I'm not going to touch them. I thought, I'm such a good girl. So Meg, Mum and Dad carefully under the tree and started tiptoeing out of my room. Looked back at the presents. Mine looked all wrong because they weren't lapped up. I thought someone should be helping me wrap those presents. Spotted the naughty elf branch of the tree. The naughty elf winked at me. Then that naughty elf jumped down from its branch. What? I was shocked. That naughty elf spoke to me in its teeny tiny voice. He told me to borrow a little bit of paper from each present so I would have something to wrap my presents in. The elf told me to get a move on. One thing I did not know about elves is that they are very bossy. I tried tearing off a teeny bit of paper from one of the presents, but the problem was that the paper kept ripping. I kept accidentally opening whole entire presents. You shouldn't have listened to them. Try not to look at them because that is called cheating, and it was hard not to notice because some of them were amazing. But then I got a bit worried. I thought, this is not right. I told the elf to stop misbehaving and then told him to get back to his branch. I said if he did not do what I said, write a letter to Father Christmas. I don't normally like to tell tales, but this is an emergency situation. The naughty elf ignored me. I shouted at him really, really loudly. That's when I heard footsteps coming down from the stairs. Meg raced into the sitting room all worried. Mabel! She said, staring at this terrible mess. What have you done? I looked at Meg firmly. Meg, I said, it's my mess. You're wrong. This is not my mess. This is not even my fault. That naughty Christmas elf made me open all the presents and he wouldn't listen to me. I stopped speaking because my voice went too squeaky. My lip went a bit lobbly too. I said, that is the whole truth. I said, I don't know what to do. Meg made a frowny face. Don't worry, Mabel, she said. Come and help me wrap everything back up again. I looked at Meg to check she was not cross because someone is cross. I do not actually feel like helping them. But Meg was too busy finding the sellotape to be cross. So I said, okay, help Meg wrap the presents back up. I could not quite remember which present went with which wrapping, but Meg said it didn't matter. So used a bit of leftover wrapping paper to wrap up the presents I gave to Meg, Mum and Dad. Wrapped up, I gave that naughty elf a firm look. Me and Meg held hands and tiptoed upstairs. Meg asked if I wanted to sleep with her in her bed, and I said yes because I could tell that Meg was quite lonely. Next morning it was Christmas Day. Me and Meg raced downstairs, pancakes in our pajamas, and we sat down to open our present. I kept glaring at the elf, but pretended that nothing had happened. I thought, that elf has got away with it. I thought, that elf was so lucky. I got loads of good presents, e.g. light-up trainers and a pottery set, but my best present was from Meg. It was a magic wand. I thought, that sister of mine is quite kind. Then I remembered about my present. Gave Mum the bracelet and I gave Dad the word search book. Got Meg her present. Stomped upstairs and said, in my present, I spotted Annabelle. She looked very precious. I thought, Meg would probably prefer Annabelle to Polly because Meg is quite greedy. I thought, why do I have to have such a greedy sister? Annabelle up in Polly's old paper, and I stomped back downstairs and gave it to Meg. Meg went all gaspy. Thank you, she said with sparkling eyes. She gave me a hug. I did not hug Meg back. I glared at the naughty Christmas elf. Why didn't you just not listen to the naughty Christmas elf? I said, "This is all your fault," in a teeny weeny voice that no one else could hear. I said, "You are so naughty."